Hello dear students, today we are going to continue lesson number 3, conflict resolutions, page number 29. The other day we were talking about quite many things which I have already told you, that ways to prevent a conflict, okay, how we can prevent the conflict, okay, if we ever come across. So quite many ways I have already told you, namely like we need to talk to the other persons, we need to listen to each other, we need to understand them. Okay, actually what is lacking in us, what we lack is that effective communications. Just because of effective communications, okay, we have got what? This conflict. Let me write that one. Effective communication. If we lack this one, then what will have as a result, okay, as a result of, or when we have the lack of what is like effective communications, then there is conflict. And how to get rid of this, how to come out of it? To come out of all these things, okay, we need to do something. You see, how to come out of this conflict? First, what do we have to do? What do we have to do? We have to, okay, first thing is that, okay, which I already told you, we have to talk. Okay, talking is required. Then, okay, we must listen, okay, listening, and then understanding. Only then we will be out of the conflict. Conflict arises just because of effective communications. What are effective communications? How can we have this one? By talking, by listening to one another, and lastly we have, okay, to understand one another. Only then we can get rid of all these difficulties or the conflict. And today, as I have already told you, okay, here we have the 2 points, okay, which I have written down, roadblocks in our communications. So what are the blocks? Just because we are not able to communicate with each other properly or in an effective way, why can't we have the effective communications? This, okay, I will tell you today. And if you have a conflict, what would you do? So suppose you have a conflict, then what will you do? I have written some way, okay, to come out of all this conflict is to talk, okay, to talk, to listen, and to understand. And today we'll see the roadblocks in our communications. So what are the problems or the difficulties that we often come across? The first one, what is the first block, okay, that we often come across? Sometimes, okay, there are roadblocks in our communications. Roadblocks can come from one or more than one persons. Here are things, okay, here are things people do, and okay, hit a roadblock. So some of the things, okay, which we do it in order to, okay, in order to bring some kind of, okay, what would say, a difference or block, isn't it? We try to, okay, what do we have? We create block, and this block, just because of that, okay, we are unable to reach to the other persons. So we will be seeing what are those blocks. Okay, let's see the first one. When one person interrupts the other person who is talking. So what do we do? When one person interrupts the other person who is talking. When one person interrupts the other person who is talking. So this is quite often, okay, we have come across in our day-to-day life. When one person is, okay, when one person interrupts the other person, isn't it, who is talking. A person is already talking. So suppose I am speaking, and then, okay, somebody else comes, okay, and then starts speaking so many things. Maybe when you also, okay, during the live class, if one person is speaking, and in the meantime, okay, the other person, maybe 1 or 2 or maybe 3 or 4, maybe all together wants to speak. So what will happen? There is no communications. Effective communications cannot take place. So thereby, okay, we create some kind of blocks. Like example, okay, I just thought of something. I just thought of something. Listen to me. So the other person, okay, pops, okay, that means, okay, other person enters, interrupts and says what? What does he say? I just thought of something. Like you often, okay, might say, I thought of something. Listen to me. The other person who is talking, okay, already talking or saying something, will definitely feel some kind of problem, okay. Then he or she will not continue his or her talk. So this is the first reason. Let us see the second one. When one person dominates the conversations by not letting the other person speak. So when one person, okay, one person, what does the person do? One person dominates the other, okay, other person when, okay, or we can write while speaking. Here also, if one person is always trying to dominate the other person, that means, okay, somehow or the other not allowing the other person to speak or to tell his or her view, then there cannot be any, okay, understanding. There is, okay, certainly the chances of, okay, conflict being occurred. So, like example, okay, blah blah blah, okay, so many things. When you keep saying, okay, blah blah blah, then other person, okay, gets, okay, disturbed. He or she felt, okay, disturbed, and so he has to discontinue whatever that he is trying to say. If we keep saying, no, blah 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 blah, okay, that means, okay, it is nothing. You are just trying to dominate the other person. Maybe, okay, trying to create some kind of block, okay, to have a effective communications. So that is the second point. Let us now move on to the third one. It says, when a person gives an opinion, when a person is giving an opinion and he says, okay, I think you should do this, why don't you do this? So a person, okay, giving an opinion, when person gives opinion, when a person gives opinion, and then that person, okay, tells you, I think you should do this, why don't you do this? So these kind of suggestions, okay, at times we receive from the others, which is not supposed to be done. We can only, okay, suggest, but we can't force the other person to do the thing, okay, which we want them to do it. In case, okay, here you see such an example is there. I think, okay, you should do this. If the person, okay, who is being told, if he or she doesn't accept that, then, okay, there is no use, okay, in telling the other person. You cannot have an effective communications, isn't it? With that person's you can't have. So in this case, both the persons, the speaker and the listener, should have understanding. Otherwise, okay, there cannot be effective communication, and as a result, there will be conflict. So this is the third point. So when you give your opinion also, don't, okay, simply force your opinion to be followed by the others. Don't expect that the other person is going to listen to what you say. Next point, when a person asks too many questions, okay, when a person asks too many questions, that time also it is a very, very difficult to have effective communications. If a person, okay, goes on asking one after another questions, okay, just like what to say, what happened, why, and then, okay, why did say. So this way, okay, we keep saying or we keep asking questions one after another. That also, okay, creates some kind of hindrance, some kind of, okay, problems to have effective communication. Just remember that. So these are 4 points, okay. Let me tell you. We have 1 or 2 points to be discussed. Next we have when a person talks with suspicion. When a person talks with what? Talks with suspicion. Suspicion. So when a person talks with suspicions, that means he's always suspicious or doubtful about something. How can you have? We don't expect to have a very effective communications with the others. Why is it not? Because when you speak, you are hiding something. When you are listening, you pretend to listen, maybe you are not really listening. When you are trying to understand, may not be you have understood everything, but you just pretend. Show yourself that you have understood. So this pretentious behavior is not going to help to have a effective communications. To have a communications, we should the person should really understand the value of it. Otherwise it is not going to have. Otherwise what will happen? Only conflict between the person. When a person talks with suspicion, just like example, you could have done that. You have never done it before. Maybe you might say, you could have done that. You have never done it before. You could have done it, but at the meantime, at the same time, you're saying, no, you did not do it before. So what is it? You're asking that person, to do it, but then at the same time, you have got a doubt, but you see, you have never done it before. So what are you doing? You are actually creating a kind of suspense, isn't it? So that should not be done. When a person is insulting, another one, when a person is insulting. So when a person start insulting each other, what happened? You really know it. There cannot be a solution. So you cannot bring any solutions here. So we need to stop criticizing. We need to stop insulting the others to have the effective communications. Otherwise, what is there? Roadblocks. These are some blocks to have an effective communications. So when you keep insulting, when you have a suspicious nature, then as I've already told you, that if you always tries to dominate the other persons, whatever that you want, him or her to say, that will not work out. So these are some roadblocks which we have seen today. And from page number 13, here we have the thing which I have written here on the board. You might have already seen that if you have a conflict, then what will you do? There are some options. Will you walk away from them? When you have a conflict, certainly you may or may not have a conflict. Sometime, if you at all come across all these kind of problems or difficulties, will you simply walk away from there? Walk away and start breaking things, bang doors and throw things. Have you ever done it? Are you doing all these things? Scream and shout at the other persons, hit the other persons, pretend like I have no conflict, or will you simply pretend? Or will you make a show of that you have no conflict with the other person? Get someone else to help you. Will you ask somebody to come and help you out from that problem? Do not meet or talk to that person. Or suppose you have a conflict, will you please stop talking to that other person? Argue for a long time? Are you going to do that? Let the other person have or his her way. You will simply allow the other persons to do whatever the other person wants. Will you do that? Make sure to hurt the other person's feeling. Will you do that also? Sometimes when we are hurt by the other people, we also start doing the same thing to the others. So is it good? Call the other person's names, that names means calling out by so many names that we give to the other persons. Initially these days we are very much famous in giving names to the other persons. So will we or shall we start calling out that person by names? Or try not to hurt the other person's feeling? Or shall we try to manage the situations and in order to not to create any kind of like enmity between between you and the person, agree to share or compromise. So will you be ready to compromise? So whatever has taken place, okay, let it be, but we need to come into understanding. So will you do this? So there are quite many options, okay, when you get or when you have this sort of a conflict, what are you going to do? There are so many options. Just put a tick mark to those options. In case of difficulty, you may ask. Thank you so much.